able to join us will be able to listen in. So one thing I did want to let you know about, in case you hadn't seen it, is that we have new items in the NCL store. There's a mug that has a hidden code message that people might love to try to decipher. And
Is
of
it in
course,
hex or base 64?
it's
Oh, it's in
it's in
binary.
Oh my
binary.
goodness. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it.
Okay.
And of course, other items. But please do go to the NCL store. You should have that notice in your inbox, and it's open until after the team game closes, which is April 14th.
This would be a great way to award my top players, give them a mug or something.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Great. Thank you. Great idea.
And then just please do put your questions if you have any in the chat. And then our next meeting, as you know, these are once a month. So our next meeting will be April the 26th. Usually it's the last Monday of the month, so April 26th. So with that, let me turn it over to Franz. And this is an open discussion. So for any of you who have participated with your team or with your students in the individual game, we encourage you to join into the discussion and let us know your thoughts as Dr. Macias started to do.
So modestly did. Yes.
And yeah, feel free. This is the free for all. So, Franz, do you want to just open what you in terms of your observations from this individual game?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it kind of brief because I want to use this time to get feedback from all the coaches that we have in the call. But Dr. Marcias, we've been getting some of that feedback, so I appreciate everyone for letting us know. I think this time around we tried to get a little bit too creative with like coming up with different challenges that people probably haven't seen before, and it seems that it's a little bit outside of what people were expecting with the practice gym and the preseason. So I'm just letting everyone know on the call, like, we understand that. I would like to get more specific feedback, but in terms of what we're going to be doing in the future, we're planning on basically focusing more on having additional content that is already covered in the gym and in the preseason, and kind of restricting. I think part of the problem we had was we were doing new topics at every skill level in the easy, medium, and hard. And I think maybe we should just keep the new creative things to like medium and hard, and keep the entry level content rather consistent, because it seems that when we try to make that easy level content something that is a little bit different, that losing that foundation was difficult for people. So I understand that. I'd love to get additional feedback, but I just want to start by saying we are aware and we're taking steps to make sure that we make more content accessible to the beginners.
Thank you, Franz. You know what? You guys do so much great work, and thank you first of all for all your efforts in making this creative. And the easy ones are going to be a good inroad for our students to like, okay, I only got all the easy ones at each challenge, and then of course the next game they go to the medium, and so in other words, but a lot of brain cells died this weekend, and but they're recovering. They're young, most of them. I always compete, as you know, and I'm still recovering from all the lost brain cells. So anyway, but we do thank you, Franz, for all the work you and your staff do, because these NCL games are fabulous. They're foundation. We got like 50 high school students to participate, which we hadn't before. And even if 10% of those kids go on to cybersecurity, we're doing a good thing. So thank you again for all your efforts.
I appreciate that. And do you have any additional feedback, any specifics other than just like generally it was a little tough? You have any specific feedback?
Just the beginning ones, the easy can be easy.
Okay.
That's basically it. And the hard ones we're hard. I still we have a meeting with my mentors then, and they're still trying to figure those ones out. So, we'll talk later with those guys. But yeah, that's about it. Just make the easy ones easy, and then, as we had before, just graduate in difficulty and complexity as you go up. So.
Are your students aware of the community Slack where we had a debrief last night, and that's still up and available if they.
Yeah, thank you. They love that, so that's very helpful. Without giving out answers, that at least they share the fact that, hey, okay, I'm not dumb. I'm not the only one not able to answer this. There's other people that can answer this also. So I think knowing that, and a lot of my students only got like 60-70% completion, where before a lot of them got 80s or 90s. So they were all talking about, wow, I just didn't do as well. And so I'm not sure about the other coaches, if your students also, or maybe my students are just dumber. I don't know. I just didn't get all the percentages. I think we average about 70% total completion.
Well, this is Professor Mayer. I had the same observation, and two of my students, one of my students who was doing the individual, they took 4th place in the state level competition. And the thing is the thing that's the problem is, I don't care how hard because it makes sense. You're going to make the actual game hard, but so should the gym and the pregame be at equal difficulty levels, even for the hard ones. You know what I mean? In other words, and you just mix it up. You can't, because a person can't walk into the challenge and, hey, I thought I prepared.
Yes, exactly.
And what I saw with my guys is, I didn't compete in the thing. I observed what my guy was doing, but he's very good. In fact, he led the way. He went to the range, a cyber range at Baltimore level, then at the state level and all that stuff. So, this is a person that gets into the challenges, and they figure things out. And basically they were using the try hack me and all that, and they were getting their skills up. And James went in there and said, totally different thing. And I looked at he was in the final game. He actually hit all the topics, and he got 100% accuracy in a lot of things, but he wasn't in the others. And I think the difficulty is that it comes from a different angle. So I would just recommend is, just like you practice for the game, the practice for the game has to be at the same difficulty level as the game. Otherwise you're throwing the person off.
Yeah. Congruency, I think, is called.
Right. Exactly. And that's my only comment. I thought everything else was great. And the preparation sessions that the students had, to kind of prepare them was good. It'd be better if there was, more. I don't know if you can do this, but I think there should be real, year-round gym. If there's some way we could have the gym, at levels, and if we're going to throw some new things in, just kind of throw a hint of that new thing and have the gym all year round if we could have it. You know what I mean? Because it's very hard, hey, here's your gym, here's your pre-game, now in the competition. I don't think we're going to get a lot of people like that. If we could have like a gym that's set up, like the Try Hack Me, they can do it at any time. If you could have a gym, or if you could, you could use, find a free platform like Try Hack Me and say, hey, our challenges are going to be like these ones. So the students can prepare like all year long. It's like asking a basketball player, hey, you're going to have a couple weeks to practice, and then we're going to have a scrimmage, and then you're going to go right into the finals. I mean, that doesn't work, especially with the COVID situation where the students are overloaded as it is.
And the finals are against the U.S. Olympic basketball team.
Right.
So your high school kids are going against the U.S. Olympic basketball. Like, wow. No, but
yeah.
But
I'm just saying, if they had prep, they do it. I just think we should have a longer prep time or stretch it out.
Good afternoon.
We do have that cyber Skyline professional, right? That you can buy. I buy that from my student mentors.
Yeah, so we have a annual subscription, which includes NCL registration. So the NCL is $35 a season. The annual subscription is $150 a year, and it includes your NCL registration. So it's basically an extra $80 for the full year access. I think we're still trying to brainstorm additional ways that we can provide access to the content on a more over a longer period of time, because I understand the challenge with only having the practice for about a month before the game starts. We're trying to figure out how do we provide additional access and resources without really messing with the price too much, because I'm also worried about, like, okay, well, if we have all these costs from the additional duration that we have to provide support, does that mean that we have to now price it out of a range that people can't, it's not accessible to them? And so we're
Right,
trying to figure out
right.
like, how can we balance that out?
Well, I think the way you can do it is like, give people like a hint, like before they go into the gym, say, this year's what it's going to be, and just put like, here's some sources for similar type challenges. So they could go to some online resources to get a flavor of what is thrown at them.
Mm-hmm. So
Because I
yeah.
saw like we did all the forensics ones who added that, and I teach forensics.
Mhm.
And it was cool, it's great, but it should be, hey, this year, in 2022, this is the kind of challenges you can anticipate on having, and give a few examples. And then students can go to a platform like Try Hack Me or something like that before they get into the gym, and they can say, okay, now I practice that. Then when they get in the gym, they're not wasting their time. Okay, what is this? Got to look this up. They can
Mhm.
look a lot of stuff up and get their skills up to what they need to be, so that the gym is effective and then the practice is effective.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
open
just
it
trying to
up
think
for
of do
some
it less expensive.
additional. Yeah, let's open it up for some additional comments. I saw Marcel, you had something that you wanted to comment.
Thank you. First of all, I'm calling from, I'm in from Los Angeles. I thank you very much for doing this, and I love the gym. And thank you for letting me participate, because boy, I learned a lot. So that was already marvelous to do. There was one issue I had, and students as well, in the gym too. One of the solutions was with off-crack. I believe is that how you pronounce it? And that's blocked by Windows. So I have at least 5 pieces of malware detectors on there, and it won't play off crack because it says it's, yeah, I know off crack, I'm familiar with it and I've used it for many times, but it wouldn't load it. During the competition, I had one thing, I played for about 8 hours myself, and I'm the little guy here because I only got 37% in the 8 hours that I were, the other 2 gentlemen are in the 70s or 80s thinking, whoa. There was one thing I spent about an hour on Wireshark. And then the next day it said, just type in a number because there was an issue with it. And I can't remember what the issue was with that specific question. Also in Wireshark, there was a question about channel, which was supposed to be easy. And within my knowledge, you can't detect channels in Wireshark. But again, that may be my ignorance because I couldn't solve that one either. And it says those are easy questions. But yeah, during the competition, I guess one of the questions was it didn't work in this one, specifically in Wireshark. And I don't know if you recall that. The next day it said, type in anything and you get the points anyway. Does that make sense? But thank you for doing this. I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate your feedback. So your 2 points, one of them was we basically realized with the type in anything, we had made the challenge more difficult than we anticipated. And so we're like, I think this is kind of unfair. We're just going to give everyone credit for it. So that's kind of what you saw. And that's been a common theme. So we definitely take that to heart. We're going to make sure that we adjust the levels accordingly. The second one about the channel question, that one, it is possible. And I'm not sure if it might be covered in the gym under the wireless access question, but like I try not to get into the weeds too much, but basically for wireless networks, the router will send out a broadcast letting people know that it's available. In that broadcast, there's a field for channel. And so that's how you could figure it out from there.
Right, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I went on the internet and everywhere it said you can't find channels on Wireshark. So I thought I just gave up on that. Is there anybody else who had that issue with off-crack, that you can't run the software because your antivirus or whatever we have on our computers blocks it from opening?
Marcel, I think it's best to use off-crack using Kali Linux. It's easier, cleaner. You can upload the rainbow tables in Kali Linux. I tried using off-crack with Windows. It's problematic. I just sent you a text to that. Yeah, just try Linux and type in sudo off-crack and just load up the rainbow tables and you should be good to go.
Other input, feedback from people on the call? Did anybody not participate who's on the call? I guess I should ask that in the chat. Okay, so it looks as if Franz, you've got some good feedback here. We're definitely going to be looking at what we do next in terms of ways to prepare the students as well as the coaches more fully. A question that I have is, how much do you use the Player Ambassador blogs? How much do your students use those? Are they, because I know that there's a lot of helpful information in there, and they come out, I think, 4 times a week to help prepare students. So I'm just curious as to, is that reaching people in the right way? Are they able to use it? Any thoughts on that?
I
No?
think my students find ambassadors really helpful. Crypto Crate's amazing. So yeah, they really like that website, and they've learned a lot. So please keep up the good work. They love it. They love all the cartoons too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we have a lot of fun with those. Okay, Franz, anything to add to this discussion at this point?
I actually had a quick question. I don't know if this is the proper audience, because the coaches on this call are pretty active, but we've been noticing that actual participation of students who have registered, especially where coaches had made the orders. So basically the schools had make a bulk purchase. Participation was a little bit lower than we anticipated. And so I was wondering, like, is there a common theme around people about like having trouble getting their students to participate? Is it like a COVID related thing where we're just trying to gauge, like, maybe it's just to do with scheduling, maybe it's to do with COVID, but I'm curious to see if any coaches on the call have had issues getting their students to participate.
This is Professor Mayer with Hartford Community College. I paid for this student out of my pocket, and I was trying to encourage them. I covered everything for them if they wanted it, because I do it out of a labor of love, and I could only get one person, but I did get four students actually competed in the Maryland competition on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? So it's just getting the NCL to be understood. That's partly on me. That's why I'm in this session, to understand how we make it work and talk it up. And I think that, to be honest with you, the reason I felt that we had difficulty is with COVID, you can't see them, the students. So you have to rely on this, meeting over Teams and, putting it out in email. And email is a lousy communication means. I'm sorry, because people get overwhelmed with email. And what I found out is, you got to call. And I think when we get back face to face, we can talk it up. But we have to know a lot about the NCL, when it's coming up, and we have to talk about it months in advance. And I understand, I really sympathize with the costs and everything that you have. But we do need to know, okay, this is what's going to happen in 22, and we have to have enough time, and we need to start talking it up. We have to have a communications campaign for our students. We do. As the professors, we have to have a way of communicating with our students up front and early to get them psyched up about it. And that's what I found. I was able to only get one student, and I told him I'll pay for it. And still I only got one person. And I think it was because, not putting it out early enough to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 things I actually wanted to provide to respond to. So I think this question about like preparation and the gym preparing people, I think is something that we probably need to explain a little bit better, because the way that we kind of design things is that there's this expectation that we have that the gym will not cover 100% of the content during the game, and it's intentional. We basically don't want to train people to just memorize steps. We want to try to train people to have that critical thinking ability. And so we want to make sure that, like, the gym is helping unlock kind of these thought processes that you're having in your brain, so that when you see a new thing for the first time, you figure out, how can I approach this and how can I solve the problem, even though I don't have that knowledge. And so I don't think we'll ever be in a point where like the practice will cover 100% of the content in the game. But I think where we kind of missed the mark is that it should cover, the easy and a lot of the medium content. So people have that foundation. But like, for example, we'll throw in challenges there where you're looking at like 4G data, a packet capture 4G data. That's like not something that you're really being taught in class, or that we really prepared people for, but people will still be able to solve that challenge because they'll go online, they'll figure out what queries and filters do I need to do to look at the data. They'll look at different RFCs and understand how the protocols work and stuff like that. And we want to teach people that skill, because realistically, when they go get a job, they're not going to be able to be formally trained on everything, and they'll need to pick those skills up on the fly. And so that's kind of, I think we might need to just communicate that better to everyone, that like, there's the expectation that the gym will get you like 50% of the way there. And we expect you to build these critical thinking abilities to get you the rest of the way there. And then also we need to do a better job of making sure that the easy content is staying easy, so that you are being adequately prepared for that foundation.
Right. And I agree with you that I understood that to a point, but I was saying that not the whole thing, but types of.
Right.
Like you should throw, you don't give them everything on there, obviously. I was thinking like types of, you got to throw a few zingers in the gym so they're ready for it. So like, hey, professor, how do I do that? And then I can say, hey, because I always tell them, I'm right with you. That's what I tell them. Go, you got to learn to look it up. I've been in the business over 40 years, more than 40 years. And whatever you learn in college is obsolete, 5 years after you leave.
So you started when you were 12, Francis?
No, I'm a lot older than I look. if you think that.
Just kidding.
All right. I think we're going to move on to the next part of the agenda. So we have two wonderful presentations for you today. And I think, Ellen, are you there?
Yes,
you
I am.
in?
Hello.
Great. And hi, Alan. So we've got Alan Stubblefield and Erik Chantin. I'd like to ask them each to give us 10 minutes of their time and open it up for questions after each presentation. Just basically talking about their own experiences and how they help their students. So, Alan, did you have slides that you wanted to share, or are you gonna just talk us through it?
I'm just going to talk you through it right now.
It's done by Thursday. I'm going to
give me a minute here.
in class to do it.
Okay. And I'll ask everybody to, if you've got questions, just put them in the chat and we'll address them as soon as we can.
Sorry, I'm back. My wife teaches middle school. I teach high school, so we had a little co-teaching going on there, but we're done. So, hello everybody. I'm Alan Stubblefield. I teach cybersecurity and IT at Troy High School in Fullerton, California. That's a suburb about 30 miles east of Los Angeles. And I'm probably less than 10 miles from Disneyland, to give you some idea of geographically where I am. Tally, did you want me to go ahead and take the next 10 minutes, or Erik and I are going to kind of flip-flop, or how do you want me to do this?
You can go ahead, just take the next 10 minutes and then we'll ask Erik to come on.
Okay. So we've been doing National Cyber League for the past 3 years. When I looked at the results of the individual game yesterday, we had 16 of our students were in the gold tier. I've got 43 total that are playing this season. We offer a varsity letter like you would in any other sports for cyber. And to qualify for that, they have to place in either the gold or the silver tier in both the fall and the spring semesters. We've got a CTF club that meets once a week after school. This year, obviously, we had to go virtual. And we use that club to show students what the various CTF competitions are like NCL. And then they go through and do some basic training prior to showing the kids what's in the cyber gymnasium. I've got to say that probably with the combination of NCL and the club, we've got a large group of students that are really trying to get a hold of what CTFs are. I've got a student this year. When I looked yesterday, he was in the top 20 in the gold tier. He's a sophomore, but when he showed up to school last year as a freshman, his introduction to me was, "Sir, I'm a hacker. What do you have for me?" And as a high school teacher, that's not really how I'd like to see that conversation started. So I said, well, we're not about hacking yet. Let's show you a little bit of Blue Force with Cyber Patriot, but we do have some capture the flag competitions where you will get a chance to kind of show off your CTF skills. Yes, Roberto, ethical hacking, understand, but we've got to teach the ethics first. But he took a team of sophomores. They made it to the finals for the NYU red competition this year. And we've gone to that in the past, but never with sophomores. So he's quite talented. I really like NCL. I like how it stresses the ethical side of the hacking. Students, if you're going to be a Blue Force, the best way to play defense is understand how the offense plays. Plus, I get to point to you as my platform to teach all this stuff so that I can tell my principal every day that I don't teach hacking, because I don't. NCL does, and that's outside of the school day for me. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Alan, tell your students to apply at Colorado State University. We'll give them scholarships.
Well, you're welcome to, we can set up an online presentation, and you can come down and give us your song and dance. I've got kids applying to pretty much most of the major cybersecurity programs. So
here in Pueblo, we have Colorado Springs have about 18 Department of Defense contractors. They're stealing our students even before they graduate. So be a good place to come by. So be happy to talk to you. We'll touch base.
Yeah, and then you have that semi-military academy over there too. So I'm enabled.
So Alan,
Air Force Academy.
Yeah,
Alan, before you came on, so we had several people commenting about the difficulty of the individual game. How did your students do? Since they're high school students, were they putting everybody to shame?
I've got some really sharp kids. I've got one gentleman who I'm pretty sure is on the autism spectrum, but has not been identified. It's really tough to get him to verbalize, but he scored 1,700 points in the individual game. I mean, he did really well, and he did well last fall. So it's like, okay, wow. So the kids who I have that this is their thing, NCL allows them to discover their passion for ethical hacking and develop their tools for both defending and for pen testing at an early age. So when they do come to college, they can play on the CCDC team and the CPT team. So
now, what is your role with those? You mentioned that there are 43 students.
Right.
So 43 played this season. And what is your role with them? Are you their coach, or do you have other coaches?
I am the chief cat herder. I get them to sign up with me. I have them fill out the form saying that they understand that the individual game is an individual game, that they can't work with anybody else, that they have to follow all of the rules. I have my my club presidents and vice presidents figure out how to draft the email so that we send to everybody, and then they sign up via a Google form, and that tells me how many game codes to buy, and then I go buy the game codes and send them out. But their coaches are really their fellow students who tend to be seniors who've done the CTF for several years. So I'm qualified to spell CTF, but that's about it.
And I'm curious, so how many seasons have you been doing this?
I think this is our third year. So our
Third year? And
yeah.
has it grown in terms of the number of students participating?
Yes, it's grown in the number of students playing. It's also grown in the quality of the talent. I mean, it's not just something where they are able to figure out the easy challenges. I've got kids obviously going after the higher challenges. So they will. So last weekend on the 20th and 21st were the nationals for the Cyber Patriot competition, the high school version of CCDC. So I had two teams that went to nationals, won nationals, and Sunday afternoon after winning, they said, okay, now we need to go get ready for the individual game for NCL. I mean, that's what these kids do. I mean, this is their thing. And it's great to allow them to do their thing at such a young age.
How about in terms of, the gender? Is it, do you have some girls participating? And also, I'm curious about the youngest age that you have playing.
So my youngest member of the national championship team is a freshman female, and she plays NCL. So like most other places, we probably have 75% male, 25% to 20% female. We're trying to improve on that, but we improve on that by helping middle school Cyber Patriot teams, because to me, it's at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. That's when you can introduce new ideas to young ladies, and society hasn't yet said, hey, why are you doing that? That's for guys. So that way, when they do come to Troy High School as a freshman, they're already confident in their own abilities, and they're willing to try CTFs.
And how can we get more high schools involved, do you think?
I think by having a high school league and recognizing, it doesn't necessarily have to be on a national basis, but if you have like some regional areas, that way you can kind of, it gives high schools more of a chance to kind of make that top 10 or something like that. Anything where kids have a chance to put something on the college resume, and a top 10 of something, whether it's top 10 in the city or state or region, it still sounds good. So.
And are your students familiar with the scouting report that they get when they start
I
going
don't
into
really
it?
think the scouting report. I don't think the scouting report means much to them. Mainly because we have a hard time getting internships for our high school students because they are minors. And so I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. And when I do get my foot in the door, it's because the kid's able to be a personable kind of talking expert, and not because of a piece of paper. So that would certainly mean more later on in college or their senior year as they're getting ready to graduate from high school and possibly land that summertime job.
Coach Stubblefield, that scouting report has been really very effective in getting our Colorado State students to interview with Rockwell, Northrop Grumman, Martin Marietta, Boeing. They ask them about, and so, yeah, so it might not be really applicable to your high school students, but later on, you're going to find that to be very, very helpful. all my students have gotten jobs, have been asked, do you do Wireshark? Do you do web exploitation? Yeah, I did it on NCL. So,
Right.
but you know, we got 50 high school students to participate in the Southern Colorado area, but only because I got a big NSF grant emphasizing underrepresented students, which includes economically disadvantaged students from every ethnic group, females, but we paid for their NCL fees. I think that's a big thing. $35 to a student is a lot of money. So if you could ask your administration to pay for some of this-
$70 for the whole year. But
What is
I
it?
run this like a sport, and I have a booster club, so my booster club pays for all of their stuff.
Excellent. That's a big incentive.
Well, great. Any other thoughts or questions for Alan? I haven't seen much come through on the chat. Thank
Callie?
you, Roberto. Yeah.
Just a question for Alan. First of all, thanks so much for holding such a great and enthusiastic end of the stick, getting high school kids involved in cybersecurity careers. There's a nice K through 12 conference every year, and this year NCL decided to sponsor one of the tracks to speak to the faculty that are in high schools. How much do you think high school faculty, teachers pay attention to, let's say, national discussions about cybersecurity education, cybersecurity tracks, or are they just so overwhelmed with their own small universe of, kids and administration and no money and no time, so that they give up and don't listen to a bigger debate? I'm just curious.
In anybody who has taken the time to attend the NICE K through 12 conference is obviously looking for new ideas. And my experience is you need a cyber champion, not somebody with a trophy, but somebody, an adult who's gonna willing to say, hey, we should try this, we should do this. Whether it's a teacher, an administrator, or a superintendent, somebody like that. And that's how you get these new programs added. I'm at a school, we have 6 computer science teachers and me. While I teach comp sci, I'm the cyber security teacher, but I'm new at this. But having so it's always good to try to talk to teachers, but also I really believe in the idea that competitions will demonstrate interest to administration of a school. In my school's example, I had 45 kids after 6 years of doing Cyber Patriot. I had 45 kids involved with us after school. That was enough to convince the school that we should offer this as a 4-year pathway. Now that we have a 4-year pathway, I have 300 kids after school. So, but it's having that opportunity to compete and be a team and be together with a group of kids. Now you can look and say, like, wow, these students are already doing this. I don't have to worry about starting a course and having nobody take that course. So NCL helps out with that a lot.
Great.
I'm going to set up a tent outside your parking lot and take your students. So
Dan Manson and Cal Poly Pomona already have one.
we can beat those guys. We'll give them better off.
I understand, but he's 12 miles away. I've been working with Dan for 10 years. So
We have in the chat from Lynn Warren. Welcome, Lynn. This is my first season as a coach, and the majority of my students are disadvantaged adults, poverty, high school educated, disabilities in adult certification programs, non-degree. I dance a very thin line between instructor, mentor, and the need to teach critical thinking and self-growth. I would like suggestions for adding the critical thinking to curriculum other than my go-to look it up. Lynn, would you like to comment before we open it up to others?
Yes, actually, so as I was reading the NCL information, I can act as a coach and a mentor. A lot of times they're asking me the additional things, and since I have them for such a short period of time, they're asking me how to do certain things, which I kind of did prior to the competition itself. But then I received a message from one of my students, I don't know how to do this. How can I do this? And my comment was, look it up. But is there something other that would have been more helpful other than, since many of them don't have those self-reliance and critical thinking skills, is there something else that I could have told them?
Lynn,
Thank you for the question.
yeah, thank you for the question. Are you asking specifically like during the game or in general?
In general, because the critical thinking piece is the hardest thing to build in the disadvantaged adults who come from even intergenerational poverty. And so just one thing is during the game, because we do have our team competition coming up in a couple of weeks. But in addition, like in my 2 weeks prior to that, is there anything other than just telling them, go to Google, go to whatever your search engine is? Is there something that I should really do? Like I said, it's my first season as coach, and I'm just kind of, I'm learning as I go.
Right. Well, I mean, well, welcome as a coach. Glad to have you here. So the thing that we kind of recommend the most, rather than just searching online, is that we do have a community Slack. So that's cyberskyline.com/Slack. If they're registered, they will be able to go in, and there's like a community. We see several hundred people on that Slack channel every season, and so they can ask around for, hey, any advice getting started with learning this topic or this other topic. Erik mentioned in the chat as well that there's the CryptoCape blog, and so if they're looking to learn specific skills, the blog is a good place to go. But like learning, you're asking like, how do you learn how to learn? Like, how do you learn to build those critical thinking skills? I think personally, like what we've seen work the most is like just like repetition of like, hey, I don't know how to do this. They get a little bit of guidance from the community. People point in different directions, show them what to search, what articles and resources are useful online, and then helping people develop that that pattern in their mind of like, oh, well, last time I was confused about this resource, someone helped, or this topic, someone helped me find X, Y, and Z. Let me see if I can find equivalencies for this topic. And I think that just needs to happen several times to help reinforce that, help answer that question. Well, what do I do when I don't know something? And it just takes time. And that's why I suggest is seeing if they can ask people in the community. And we're also available on the Slack as well. And so if we see people who are looking for assistance, learning about a specific topic, we'll share whatever resources we're aware of as well.
Brian,
I do want to thank you for that. I appreciate that. We did use the blog. I do encourage that. And I just posted in the message that I do envy you, Alan, that your students are doing this in youth and are not in their 30s and lack the skills at this point. So I think that's an awesome thing.
I have a student who's going to enter kindergarten next year who's already signed up for one of my summer camps. So he's starting young.
Actually, I do find that my third grade, some of the third graders in my Edge Lab experiments, the 3D printing, they want to participate.
Yes, exactly.
We have a comment from Stephen, and then let's jump to Erik because I want to give him time he's got a short presentation as well. Stephen?
Yeah, just
Miller?
Just a couple quick comments. Of course, we have NCL as part of our curriculum. We have a syllabus. In fact, I provide that syllabus to NCL. It's on the website. But in addition to that, we have one of the things we found out that helps the most, and this came from our students, is from the very beginning, once we get everybody enrolled into the NCL, when they get registered, and we pay for that, actually they pay for it, it's part of their lab fees, then we set up the teams immediately. And those teams, we meet on a weekly basis for us to share and look at different resources or how to solve different problems, and even tied back to this is outside the class. So I think if you really, you have to spend that time if you really want to get the students enthused about it. And we have a lot of non-traditional students. We have students that are ringers. I have DOD students that are in there. So we're training Department of Defense contractors already working in intelligence, but those people can help our other students. We also have dual credit. So we have high school students in the mix as well. So just to, I just say that you need to kind of put a plan together and put a schedule together and try to treat it almost like a project or something like that. And it's worked out really well. We actually have a resource SharePoint for all of our students. And then the first thing we do at the very beginning of the season is go over the code of conduct. Everybody is responsible and understand what they can and can't do. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. And Lynn, if you wouldn't mind just emailing me, or you can email info@nationalcyberleague.org. I've got a few links to point you to and some tutorials that might help. And, we'd love to help in any way possible. So moving on to the next part of our program is Erik. Erik is one of our new coach ambassadors, and I have asked him to give us some of his views from Loyola. Erik, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
And do you have any slides to share?
No, I think maybe like 5 minutes. And then I think I asked one of my students to also come here to talk about her
Fabulous.
experience.
And who is that?
That'll be Anna. It looks like she just joined.
Hello.
Hi,
Anna.
Anna. Welcome. We're so glad you could make it. Did you have a chance to play?
I did over the weekend for the individual.
All right. So we actually get an insight from one of the players. So that's fantastic. Okay, Erik, take
Do
it
you have
away.
any brain cells left, Anna, after that game?
Not many.
Thank you. So thank you, Tally. So I'm Erik Chantin. I'm a faculty at Loyola University in Chicago. I started incorporating NCL in my classes about a year and a half ago. And I think just earlier, Stephen kind of said what I was going to say, right? So it's the reason, one of the advantage of incorporating into your syllabus is you can use students' technology fee to pay for the registration fees. So basically your students do not have to pay anything, which is, we talk about that. That's very nice. And right now NCL is roughly 40% of the grade for my class. The other 40% is doing a bit of hack the box, which gives a different point of view or different, I guess, flavor to ethical hacking. And then the other 20% is doing a project. So when I first started NCL about a year ago, it was very different, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but when I teach, we teach CIA principles, we teach a bit about, oh, this is Wireshark, this is packet sniffing. But NCL was very kind of specific. So when I first started, I actually struggled, but the gym was helpful. And a lot of it is, as you progress through over the seasons, it's just practice. So what I found was creating a list of tools, that students should know, a list of websites. So for example, CyberChef and Rumkin are great for the crypto challenges, list of techniques. So all these kind of, I guess, repository or database really helps students going, because it's, once you see like a picture, find the flag, you're like, what the hell, where do I start, but maybe, using strings first, then maybe do, some of the like stack hide or digital invisible toolkit, and then kind of you go down the list and you try, you try everything basically. And then the CryptoKid blog is very useful, although kind of I'm kind of part of that, as Tali said, since I'm a Coach Ambassador. And then the NCL Slack community is very helpful. So I think we don't have too much time. So I'll stop here and maybe I'll invite Anna. So Anna is one of our students, and this is her first, I believe this is her first cybersecurity course and first time participating in NCL. So maybe she can share more about her experience this past weekend.
Great, Anna. Yes, we were dying to hear. How did it go?
I definitely, so like Erik mentioned, this is like my first time doing a lot of like cybersecurity work in a class, and this was my first time participating in the NCL, so I definitely felt kind of a learning curve with doing it. I thought the gymnasium was helpful, and how Erik compiled like different resources that we could use for different challenges was helpful. I found myself throughout the competition referring back to that document and saying, oh, I can use CyberChef for the cryptography challenges, and that helped me. And I thought the preseason went well, and the individual is definitely, I thought, harder. And I kind of found that sometimes certain, like the levels for the challenges, sometimes I felt like some of the hard ones were easier than like the medium ones. So I was kind of jumping around. I would start with the easy ones, but then sometimes I'd get stuck. So then I'd move on to medium or hard, and I was able to do those before I could do some of the easy ones, which I thought was interesting, because at first glance, you might just start with the easy, but you should still check out the hard ones. And they were definitely a challenge, but I enjoyed it. It's the first time, again, like I've done something like this. And I thought it was a nice kind of different opportunity to participate in college, because usually it's very lecture, test. And so this was a fun way to try out different tools like Wireshark. I actually did take a cybersecurity course last semester, and we used Wireshark. So that kind of helped, having a little bit of that background for the log analysis section of the challenge. But yeah, overall, I thought it's a good experience and I enjoyed it, even though it was challenging. It definitely made me think a lot. The countdown for it being due and Sunday night definitely put the pressure on, though, because seeing the countdown as you do the challenges. But overall, it was a good experience.
So what
quick
questions do
you can
people
actually,
have for
you can
Anna?
actually start off the countdown if you click on it.
I saw that. I saw you could do it and get rid of the countdown like 2 hours before it ended. I was like, well, but.
And I'm curious, so what are your plans for the future?
It's a good question.
Do you have specific plans yet, or you're just kind of waiting to see?
I definitely wanted to learn more about cybersecurity, which is why I took this course. And I definitely think that I've gotten a good opportunity, hands-on opportunity to use different tools. And this summer I have an internship where I'm kind of going to get the opportunity to choose what I want to learn more about. And I expressed interest in learning more about cybersecurity in my internship experience. So I'm hoping that I can apply the things that I've learned so far in Erik's class and in the NCL and talk about that. I've talked about it with the woman who will be my manager that I was participating in this challenge. So I definitely look to apply what I've learned in the class to whatever happens in the future.
And another question from me is, did you have friends that participated as well? Are you going to be doing a team?
I don't know. Are we doing the team? I don't know how that's going to work.
Yes, you are doing a team. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
That's in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Other thoughts or questions from people?
I would just say that the students sharing and working together, especially in the team competition, I think helps promote the NCL for the next semester as well. The students get excited about it. I think they're more excited about the teams. The feedback I have is the team activity is the most rewarding to them. And so I think that's a good thing. And like I said, by setting up the teams early on, then they can start preparing in advance.
I agree, Stephen. Our students get very excited, and I think that's where you have what you call a peer mentoring. That's where they learn from each other. Heck, when I used to be able to have in-person sessions, just sitting next to a team, picking up like, oh, don't do that. Click here, click there, and you pick up a lot. So that the team, and I even buy polo shirts for the teams, all right, to get them like, you know, excited. And but yeah, the team is where Anna and Dr. Tan is where the learning really takes place. So yeah, encourage that. That's really a big part of it. We wish you luck.
Fantastic. Well, I don't want to keep people past the hour. I'm really happy that you all came, and thank you so much to our guests, Erik, Alan, and Anna. And please send us your ideas for future calls, because I think it's a nice sharing opportunity. We want to continue to build the coach community, but you know, there might be some other guests that we can invite who are not yet part of the NCL community. And feel free to provide your suggestions. But if anybody has questions or other thoughts, feel free also to email me directly or info@nationalcyberleague.org. And I thank you all for coming. Don't forget to go check out the store for your students. There's some new stuff in there this year. So thanks a lot, everybody, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Tali. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn, are you still on? Tali, I sent Lynn my email. There's a couple of crypto and password cracking manuals that we use that would help their students a lot, because it can be pretty intimidating. And if they get a couple of, you know, they get a couple of solutions, it kind of encourages them. That little green check does a lot for their head.
Yeah. Will you send that to me too?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know if I
Thank you.
mentioned, but I'm studying cybersecurity myself. So
Oh, good for you.
I
Have you
can
participated in
definitely feel for those poor students, because you
Yeah.
know, it's like my brain is so full these days.
I participate every year and it kicks my little butt, but you know, I get to keep up with the students. So
Yeah, well, we appreciated your feedback today.
I know I'm a little rough sometimes, but you know, I'm like Sergeant Roberto here, and
You know, that's what it's all about. We want to get feedback, and we want people to share their experiences and
yeah,
you
love.
know, tough love. Yeah.
Because you know, in this field, you know, they're not going to take any excuses. So my student said, well, my dog was not feeling well, and like, you know what? Don't give me
The
excuses.
dog ate my homework.
Yeah, my dog ate my cryptos. You know, that's not
Yeah.
good. So I've been called out by the dean. You're too hard on the students. I'm thinking, you know, better me now than
Employers. Yeah.
I've had,
So, you know, maybe you have ideas, because I know that you've been in on these calls from the very beginning, probably. But if you have thoughts of things that we might be able to program in, I mean, I've thought of asking you as well, if you would mind giving a presentation. That would be wonderful if you're up for it, or bring some of your students to talk through some of the specific you know, challenges that kick their butts.
I will probably have to defer till June and July, because our school is undergoing the NSA recertification. So we're yanking our hair out. So, but I will be happy to share some stuff. Because
Yeah, June or July.
I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. Imagine the Fonz going to a preppy school with button-down shirts and black and white shoes, and that was me. And so it was like, you know, the only
You've survived.
I got a lot of fights, beat up a lot of rich kids, but the problem is,
They probably
dad-
loved you for it.
my dad said, you're not going to beat these kids physically. You got to outsmart them. And so
Yeah.
I got a lot of good mentors helping me through this. So I'm kind of paying it forward. There's a lot of rough kids that if they just get exposed to some of these opportunities and they see the fact that, wow, and just to give an example, when I was a doctoral student at Arizona, we invited a bunch of tough kids from the south side of Tucson, and half of them checked in their guns and knives at the door. Can you believe it? They had tattoos. I thought, what are
I
we
do.
doing? And we taught them how to do web exploitation and web design. And 5 of them were just savants at this. They went on
Yeah.
and they are now cybersecurity students. But if we hadn't offered that summer program for them, I don't know, they get in trouble or something. So
Yeah.
got some
You have
smart
to
kids
kind of
out there.
open their minds to
Yeah.
the opportunities that are out there and really let them see that it could be for them.
And also, you know, I'm a 5th generation American. My dad was a World War I, II vet. My grandfather's World War I vet. So there's also some patriotism here involved. I'm going to be real honest here. The Russians and Chinese, not the Chinese people, the cyber Chinese are really exploiting us. And
Yes.
we got to develop a national cyber warrior. The Ruskies and the Chinese start their kids out in the 3rd or 4th grade, you know, and we're just way behind. And they
Right.
won't take us on militarily. There's just no contest there. But look what North Korea is capable of doing.
Yeah.
Now, they are no match for us militarily, but they are cybernetically. So
That's
gotta
where it's
start
at right
developing
now.
some national security initiatives here, because look what happened to SolarWinds, guys. You know, they're in our Pentagon, they're in our military, and you know what the password, right? Alan, do you know what the password for getting into SolarWinds was?
No.
SolarWinds 123.
Oh my gosh.
So I got to tell you, those guys should be either court-martialed or convicted, because
Oh, God.
having a password.
Well, it's kind of like the guy who hacked into previous president's Twitter account. You know,
Yep.
it's like it wasn't hard to guess. Like, come on. Yeah.
I know, and the human element's the weakest link here. So, you know, I'm telling my students,
Social engineering.
if I hack in your account and it's password, you're going to get an F in this class. So, you know.
Roberto,
Anyway.
I'm looking for your email address if you could.
Yes. Yeah. Did you get my email address?
Did not.
Okay, here it is. Let me type it in real quickly. I just, let me see. I'm going to send it to everybody because I also sent it to Lynn, I believe. So I'm just impressed with what you're doing with high school kids. You sound like you have a great program. And you know what? You are affecting their life. I know I'm going to be a corny professor here, but you are affecting their lives, Alan, in ways that you have no idea. They'll thank you years later. They're going to hate you now for being so tough. It's all right.
No, I understand that. My grads are working for Microsoft in cybersecurity, DHS. I mean,
Wonderful.
Kids have gotten their passion early in life, and and it's great to see them doing great stuff.
That's great. Thank you so much. We're gonna look forward to having some of your students come to beautiful Colorado, beautiful mountains and mountain bikes. I know it's not exciting as the ocean.
My son lives in Denver, so yep.
Okay, all right. We got an end. We'll try to bribe you to send more of your students to. All right.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tally. Keep up the cybersecurity stuff. You're doing a good thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, some days I just wonder.
I know. It's hard. It's not easy. I screamed in 3 different languages during the NCL because I speak Spanish and Italian and, you know, man, every
That's
language. I a lot of profanities. Good thing they're in Spanish. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Take
Thanks
care,
a
Lynn.
lot.
I send you
Have
my
a good
email,
one.
Lynn. Touch base so I can send you some helpful guides for your students. Hang in there.
Bye.
So much.
Bye-bye, guys. Take care. Stay healthy.
Bye.